I find Richard Dawkins to be absolutely fascinating. He was one of the most important figureheads within the atheist movement, to the point where he was called one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. But unfortunately, once Atheism Plus came around, his usefulness came at an end. It was Atheism Plus because we're atheists plus feminists, we're atheists plus social justice, we're atheists plus tolerance. But they did not have any tolerance for Richard Dawkins because he spoke against Islam. As an atheist, I know, shocking. And they cancelled him. Very interesting. He actually ended up having a stroke shortly after. I guess there was a lot of stress that he was experiencing, being attacked by his own circle, by his own friends, by people that he thought he knew, but apparently he didn't. And after having the stroke, they changed their mind and they re-invited him to the event. And since then, I do believe that Richard Dawkins has been a changed man. He even said that actually religion is a good thing because while he does not believe in God, while he does not believe in a deity, he talked about how a person who enters a store may act differently if he knows there's a camera upon him. So a person that may be inclined to do petty theft is less likely to do it if they believe that the camera is pointed at them. So basically he is saying that while he does not believe in God, many people who do believe that God exists may have like another filter and may behave differently in some circumstances. So I found that to be absolutely fascinating, right? Like one of the most prominent atheists coming around and making a philosophical argument for religion. But now I'm being fascinated yet again by this particular video, which brings me no joy to show to the public. It has over 1.8 million views. It's going viral. I do not know when this was taken. I assume it was recently, but we're going to watch together and we're going to comment it. Regardless if it was from yesterday or 5 years ago, it doesn't matter. What does matter is what's being said here.
Big debate about this ISIS bride, Shamima Begum, whether she should be allowed to come back to this country. Do you have a view about that?
I'd rather not say.
You'd rather not say?
I haven't studied it enough.
Well, she was married to an ISIS fighter.
Yeah, I know.
She was but she was 15 when she went out there. The debate really is, was she groomed to be part of this terror group in Syria? And as such, should we show mercy and allow her back to this country?
Yes, I'm not going to say about that.
Are you worried about, do you get threats because of the positions you've taken on some of these things?
Yeah.
Right. I genuinely think that he's not afraid of Islam. I think he is more afraid of the social justice activists. And while I do believe that he can say whatever he thinks about this particular issue without the repercussions, he is self-censoring. Like, he just doesn't know what's going to trigger people. So he's just keeping quiet. And by the way, like, this is a huge issue in the United Kingdom. Like, it was a matter of huge national debate. Everyone had an opinion on it, right? Like, you have this lady, which apparently was an enforcer, from what I understand. Like, she wasn't just a random person. No, like, she was enforcing Sharia upon other women, and she was enforcing the laws and the customs upon other people. And she wanted to come back to the UK, right? So there was a debate on whether or not she should be allowed in. And in a democratic society, everyone should have a say, especially in matters that are so important, because at the end of the day, it wasn't just about that lady. It was about setting a precedent. It was about morality. It's like, do we allow people who leave the UK and join a terrorist organization to come back? Yes or no? Like, that was what it was, right? And in the case, well, yeah, like, she was young or blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but like, if she's not allowed, then no one is allowed, right? Like, if a young person that you can make the argument that she was influenced and she was groomed, if she doesn't get in, then no one gets in, right? Like, this is what the conversation is about. Or if she gets in, well, it's a foot in the door, and then other people's like, well, she got in, why can't this other person, right? Is it because she's a woman? Like, what about this guy who's a man? And this is where the conversation is happening, and it should happen, right? Like, you should have this debate. But unfortunately, it seems that Richard Dawkins is scared. And I do not think that he is scared of Muslims. I think he is scared of the people on Twitter. I think he is scared of the people from his community, that they're going to try to go after him like they did in the past. And notice the clicking. Like, that is a clicking. Many people are saying that the clicking is him tapping his foot nervousness on the ground. It may be, I do not know. It might be a recording error. You guys can decide for yourselves, but it's very proeminent and very loud, as you're going to hear.
You saw what happened to Salman Rushdie. Didn't send a shutter through? Are you saying no, you don't want to talk about it? Or
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's interesting in itself. Because there are areas which you would prefer not to discuss.
Yes. I should have said that before we started.
Yeah. No, but listen,
It feels so uncomfortable, doesn't it? Like, it feels like he's about to get up and leave the interview. And it's interesting because he does not mention that there are things he shouldn't discuss because he never thought that he's going to be in this particular position. Take into account, Richard Dawkins was a rebel back in his day. Like, Christianity was very powerful, especially in the United States. I mean, during the Bush era, my God. And you have a person, you know, like, at the time, he may have thought that, well, I'm going to risk my career by talking against Christianity. Because before the social justice activists, you had the piety warriors, and they would issue letters of concern, like, I'm a concerned citizen which has found that your publication has posted immoral, blah, 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 blah. Those activist groups existed, actually. You know, they don't exist now. They changed tactics. But back then, yeah, like, you had, I believe the organization was called 1 Million Moms. And 1 Million Moms even sent letters of complaints to Burger King because they had an ad that used the word damn, right? So, like, in America, this idea of persecuting people of different beliefs, this idea of Puritanism, it's from its founding myth. There was always, like, the radicals that tried to silence others, except they didn't have social media. So it was a little bit more difficult. Like, you actually had to go in front of a company and protest. You actually had to send letters of concern. But it was the same thing, like scaring off advertisers, trying to prevent people from using the business, so on and so forth. So, you know, like, Richard Dawkins was aware of this when he decided to talk and speak out. And he didn't think that he's ever going to be in a position where he will not be able to address something that has to do with religion and at the same time is of a matter of national concern that everyone gets to talk about. Like, I'm willing to bet there are people in the UK at a pub discussing this issue right now. But anyway, right, let's watch till the end.
I think it's sad that you can't. I don't think anything should be off limits in interviews with people like you. The whole point of the world's smartest thinkers is we ought to be able to have free and open debate. But I don't think we do, because people use murderous retribution against free speech. Really is what it amounts to.
Yeah, so again, Piers Morgan is putting words in Dawkins' mouth. He never said that it's because of Muslims. It could be, right? Like, it could be, but I find it difficult to believe that it is, because up until now, he had no problem talking about any religion. And all of a sudden, you know, he, especially when the culture has shifted, and you don't have, like, the same level of violence that there used to be in 2018 and 2000, I believe it was like 17. Still, the fact that he can't talk about it, as Piers Morgan put it, it is very interesting. So let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section.